Many of us call ourselves Christians. We claim to be followers of Jesus. But do we really know who we are following? You see, it's very easy to follow a list of rules or to follow what we think the church expects of us. But we're called to follow a person. And that is very different altogether. Especially when that person is Jesus. His footprints have long since left the land. We can't see him anymore. So how can we follow him? Maybe we shouldn't be asking how do we follow Jesus, but who is the Jesus that we're called to follow? And what would your answer be? Is Jesus your headliner, the focus of your existence, the source of your life? Or is he someone you follow only when he's going the way that suits you? Jesus is with his followers in Caesarea Philippi. This place is full of altars and idols. It's a place full of chaos. People worshipping different things, but not worshipping the one true God. This place is a mess. It needs cleaning up. And Jesus says to his followers, "Who do you say I am?" And Peter responds, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." In this statement, Peter realizes that Jesus is the promised rescuer that the Jewish people are waiting for. He understands that Jesus is a fulfillment of the prophecies. He understands something of the true identity of Jesus. And as he makes his public confession, he gets it. There amongst the altars and the idols, amongst the hope and the hype of this town, Peter gets it. He knows who Jesus is. Well, kind of. He thinks he gets it. Six days later, Jesus leads Peter, James and John on a journey. They climb a mountain. I imagine it was quite a high mountain. It must have been hard work scaling to the top, talking and sharing. And then, as they begin to reach the top, something happens. Suddenly, the face of Jesus begins to shine so bright. It begins to shine like the sun. And then his cloak becomes as white as light, shining bright for all to follow. Can you imagine this? You've been traveling with this guy for a few years and suddenly he becomes this burst of light. This is not normal. This is supernatural. And it doesn't end there. Moses and Elijah, two guys who've been gone for centuries, appear on this mountaintop. This thing gets even stranger. And there's more. Suddenly this cloud envelops them, and this booming voice from heaven says, "This is my son, whom I love." Can you begin to imagine what this must have been like? Peter, James and John can't cope. They fall to their faces, terrified. And if that was me, I think I would have done the same as well. With that one question pumping through my head, who is this man? Of the many ways that we fail Jesus, one of the most common is this. We forget who he really is. We forget that he's the Son of God, the one who existed before the beginning of time. Instead, we sometimes treat following him like a hobby or a game that we play, rather than the reason that we live. We make him small enough to fit around our own lives, and we couldn't get it more wrong. See, this is Jesus. Jesus in his glory, in his splendor, in his radiance, in his power. Is this the Jesus you follow? Have you ever wondered why it was Moses and Elijah on that mountaintop? Why not Abraham or David or Noah? Why these two individuals? Why Moses and Elijah? Stories are powerful things. The disciples would have understood and known the stories of Moses and Elijah. See, each year, as the disciples celebrated the Passover feast, they would hear the stories of the great leader Moses. Moses, who had rescued his people from Egypt through the Red Sea. It was Moses who had ascended Mount Sinai to receive the 10 Commandments directly from God. And it was these laws that had formed the very basis for how the people lived at the time of Jesus. But Jesus made all those laws fall into place. He made sense of all of them. Elijah had his own adventures. He was known as the greatest prophet. He too did miraculous things. He had taken on the prophets of Baal in a fire-making contest on top of Mount Carmel. And then he never actually died. He got whisked away in a whirlwind as chariots of fire and horses of fire came down from heaven and swooped him up. See, Moses represents the law, Elijah represents the prophets. Jesus came to fulfill the law and the prophets. In this moment, on this mountaintop, Jesus brings together the threads of human history. Jesus comes not to destroy the law and the prophets, but to fulfill them. Jesus pulls the stories together. This moment isn't just about the past, but it's also about the future. See, Jesus has brought Peter, James, and John to this mountaintop. And there's no mistake here. He's brought them here because they are the beginning of the church, the future story that unfolds from this point. The story of the church continues today